My, can we start the love fest? Can we start the love fest? I mean, and you look
I put some
good.
makeup on for you. I'm at the window. I might need to close
Listen,
my window.
listen.
So, uh, yeah, maybe that's
There
less
you
of a
are.
shadow.
There you
Hi,
are. There you are.
I am
Ladies and gentlemen,
here. I
today
am here.
on The Time Is Now, we have there's so many like words that I have for you that I can't even put them all. But you guys know, everyone knows Yvette's globally, right?
Oh my
Amazing
gosh.
publicist, marketing guru, kindness guru, mother of the universe. She's with us today. She's going to drop some tools, and I'm so excited. Yvette, let's get to it. There's so much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
How are you?
You, I'm well. I don't know what it is, but I was a little nervous before.
You're not nervous with me.
Isn't that crazy?
You're not nervous with me.
Like I was
But I
actually
love it.
nervous.
That's one
Like
thing about you guys with.
I'm losing you a little bit. I don't know why. Okay,
Yeah, are
you're
you?
there.
Okay.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, I'm good.
So I called my my friend. She's really my friend. She's also my hairstylist, and we just haven't seen each other in a long time. So she's been schooling me how to put this bad girl on through FaceTime and stuff. So I called her to talk to get my nerves out, and the first thing she said was, "You missed the curl." I was like, "Hold on." So I went and I recurled it. So I'm good now.
You're like,
I'm
let
good.
me go right now and get this. No, I love it. And that's one thing about you that I love, Yvette, is that you are always so transparent, right? You always, whatever you are feeling in that moment, you share. And I think that encourages all to like tap into the little bravery in us to say, okay, if Auntie Yvette gets nervous, then my little
Oh, I get
nerves and my
nervous.
little heart is fine.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I get extremely nervous. I always say just before I enter a room, I stand outside of the room and I allow my knees to shake. I give in to it. Running away from it has never helped me. So I give in to it. And then I stand there for a second and I invite my protectors in. I invite my mom and my dad and my grandma and my grandpa. I invite all the ancestors, the same people
Yeah,
that held my hand to cross the street as a little girl, the same people that clapped the loudest,
absolutely.
for me. And then once I feel them firmly on my shoulders, I go into the room. So now I'm in the room. I'm in the room.
You're in the room. You're in the room. Well, let's dive into our conversation, Yvette, because first I have to acknowledge that our check-ins at the top of the year when COVID first hit, they really got me through, Yvette. Like
Oh,
our check-ins, me being able to say, I cried this week, Yvette, me be able to say, I'm scared, for me to be able to say, what is happening in New York, what is happening in the world. And I just think that we are not anywhere near the finish line of this, but conversations with you and just leaning into family has gotten me through. What has gotten you
oh,
through to where we are right now in this COVID, in this quarantine, in this race relations, Trump? How are you maintaining? How did you get to this spot?
whew. Well, I mean, it started with people like you, right? My friends that I was able to reach out to. Uh, Reaching out to you to check on you uh, was allowing my healing as well. So as you know, I made my list. It grew to be about 350 people.
Yeah.
And I checked on them in the very beginning of this, in the few months in the, I would say like March to about May. I was really
Yeah.
doing it a lot, just checking on them. I started with a lot of my single friends, not single as in they're not married, but just I knew they lived alone, and I wanted to check on them. But
Yeah.
how am I getting through this? Am I getting through this? I have the occasion, scream like, what is this? What are we in? What is going on? But unlike a lot of people I know, I had already decided that we were gonna have to be in for the long haul. So I think I'm coping now because I had
Yeah.
already said I think I'm gonna be in my house for a year. I just did not see this ending quickly. I mean, we could start with leadership. We have terrible leadership. And so I knew we would have to
Right.
cope with that first, and then that it would go in waves in different places. But more importantly, I had to get my head ready to stay put because, I'm a bird, I want to fly all over the place. I want to go
Listen.
everywhere. That was, I mean, my
Listen.
wings were clipped. My wings were clipped.
Yeah.
That was the first
Yeah.
couple of weeks. I felt like I had a bit of a full on breakdown. I feel like I had to just give in to this is not going to be the life that I'm used to. But then it forces you to look into the life that you thought was the right life. And it wasn't. It was a
Right.
fraud. We were all living a fraud. We were living in a world full of so many agreeing to be stressed all the time, agreeing to
Yeah.
be picked on all the time. Not that we were agreeing willingly, but it seemed like we weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Now I feel like so many bad things have happened, but so many causing us to shout louder and to get our legs back and to empower young people
Absolutely.
to do the same.
Absolutely. And that's really where the inspiration for this show came from, Yvette. I was in the middle of virtual learning for my students, supporting teachers and families, and there was this hole in like my own. I loved gathering with my girlfriends. I loved, inspirational conversations. And I was talking to my sister, and I was going to be working on developing a talk show. And I just felt like, oh my goodness, my dreams are now going to be yet again deferred. And I just said, let me just start. Let me start with the time is now. I'll bring women together who I admire. I wanted it to be diverse because what you have taught me is that love is that universal language, right?
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
we've sat down with white women and Indian women and Black women, and we all share this common experience of like being mothers and being hurt or being single or not feeling good enough when you walk into a room, or those nerves. So, Yvette, what drives your womanhood? What drives your womanhood? Because you just walk in and you're just regal. I don't know if y'all ever seen her, but I've got a chance to sit and touch Yvette at the bottom of her hem of her fabulous dress. And what drives your womanhood?
All the women in my family who came before me, you know, my need to copy them, my need to walk the way they walked, my need to maybe walk one step further than they walked.
Yeah,
Uh, it was such a ritual for me growing up in my home in Grenada, a home that had generations. My grandparents, my uncles.
yeah,
These are my mom's people. My sisters and my brothers. Generations of people in this one house, and it was
yeah,
such a ritual for me to run and sit at the armchair that was closest to my grandparents' bedroom and wait for my grandmother to crack the door open a little bit. She would get
Oh,
down on her knees and pray. I would watch her. I would get down on my knees and pray outside of the room with her, and she'd say the Lord's Prayer. And then, you know, I would see her do her routine. Like she'd go, she'd take her bath, she'd come back, she'd spray her perfume, you know, she'd comb her hair, like the whole thing. And then when she got dressed for
yeah,
breakfast, she got dressed for breakfast. She got dressed. We had a small supermarket. I
yeah,
thought it was a large supermarket, but it was actually a small supermarket when I was growing up. And she got prepared to meet the customers. She got prepared to meet the young children whose moms and dads worked so early that they dropped them off at our front door because our house was so close to the school. So she got dressed to greet the children whose hair still needed to finish braiding or whatever. And it was so
yeah,
purposeful and so beautiful. She was a tiny, tiny lady. I don't think my grandmother weighed more than probably 85 pounds. She was
yeah.
such a little lady. And she just had a presence. And my grandfather was a big dude, man. He was like 6'3" maybe. He was just a big dude, and she was this little woman, but she was the
Yeah.
powerful one. And
Wow.
I watched how she loved on everyone in a room, how she took everybody
Mm.
in, how she made sure that everybody felt important. And that was the only person I wanted to be. That was the only person I wanted to be.
Wow.
Later on, I wanted to emulate my mom and my aunts. But as a kid, I wanted to be my mama, my mother's mother. And I think to this day,
Uh,
that's what it's about. She would say these things, and a lot of Caribbean people probably say it. Now, the truth is, a lot of Africans in the diaspora say it, but she would say, uh, you know, make sure you look good, eh? Yeah, just in case you fall, because the doctors, they treat you based on what you look like. I was like, what is she talking about,
right.
right? But
Right.
then when you get older and you come to a place like America and you deal with systemic racism,
Absolutely.
it's not even what you wear. It's
Right.
what you can't take off, that they
Mm.
treat you, you know. Was my grandmother preparing me for that?
Yeah.
Was she preparing me for that? I don't know that she knew that, but I just
Absolutely.
remember, you know, wanting to be that person in the room that made people feel good. That, you know, I'm never going to be the person who sits in a room where another person makes another person feel terrible and I don't comment about it.
Right.
Or I don't make a real
Mm.
face that you see.
And
I know you're hurting that person. And if you say one more word, I'm coming for you. It all came from her, this tiny little lady,
oh,
this indigenous Carib woman
that's what I love.
from Grenada. Yeah,
That's what I love. That comfort you, that immediate need and desire to stand up for this right and just at all times.
you
And
have
that's
to.
really that. And a lot of people don't have that. I think people are getting that. I'm seeing a lot of people who are just becoming so much more political right now. People are using their platforms. People are, you know, it was to the point where we always knew that there was a difference. We always knew that there was this history, but now the world cannot turn a blind eye to it.
They can't. And
They cannot.
I'm so sorry. I'm so saddened that Mr. Floyd and Brianna, so many incredible lives were cut
Yeah.
short. Uh, their deaths opened up. I think the Black community's eyes were already open,
Yeah.
and we were screaming, and no one was listening.
Mm.
But Mr. Floyd, in particular, his death was so brutal. It was so brutal.
Yeah.
Matter
It
what
literally
your skin.
snatched
It didn't
us
matter what your skin
all
was like. It was
up.
like it went to everybody's heart and soul. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe not the man in the White House. I don't know about him, but um, I think that most people on this earth were moved by that. And it forces us to do better. It forces you to stand up and fight. Not all of us are the ones on the front line. Not everyone are in the streets, but people should know that there are lots of people that are creating massive change from their homes, from their offices, for those who can go to an office. But that stopped us all in our tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
And,
mean,
a couple of people, as we've had this conversation going, there's just been an idea of our Black excellence is its own form of resistance to that, right?
oh,
Our own,
absolutely.
the way that your grandmother got up and my grandmother got up and made a way out of no way, the way that I'm trying my little bestest every day to, make my mark on the world. That's our resistance, Yvette. Even if we
Absolutely.
cannot get on the front lines, even if we don't, can't scream it. And I mean, the protests were so beautiful, but that's our resistance. And I think from that, the world just got this gift, Black is King, that was so major, Yvette. And I was watching it with the world in tears,
Oh,
seeing Black being so beautiful. And that to me was the most like, no, that was resistance. That was excellence. Like, talk to me about that, Yvette. How was that for you being
how?
on
How
the
do I talk
lines of
without
that?
crying? How do I talk without crying? First of all, to be even amongst the creatives
Oh,
who sat in the room with Mrs. Carter,
oh,
who got the executive order to
oh,
teach, to celebrate, to lift as you climb, to
oh,
push, to push our history, to erase negativity, to even have been in a room. Uh, it's just, it's I want to be around to tell my, not just my grandchild who has seen it 30 times, but to tell my great grandchildren, listen,
yeah.
art, this is art, this is history, art is resistance, uh, but
Mm,
not always in the sense the way we want to define it, right? Because for me, this is an authentic story, or to search for their own authenticity. It is the
yeah.
perfect story. I called it a mirror. It's a beautiful mirror that allows
Oh,
us to see exactly who we are, and more importantly, whom we came. Who are those people in those fuzzy black and
oh,
white photos?
that,
Who are those?
that, that.
It's talked about every once in a while. We need to find out what he did. This pushes us. It
That.
pushes us to go and explore, our families and the continent where I believe all life comes from. It forces
Yeah.
us to reread books. It forces us to buy new books, and it certainly forces us to tell our children different stories. I am so honored.
Oh,
I've been privileged. I've been privileged, in fact, to sit on the phone and on some Zoom calls the week following. But I would say starting with the Monday following the release of Black is King, um, to
oh,
orchestrate with the Disney PR, incredible Disney PR team, uh, to
Yeah.
orchestrate this plan, the PR plan with the creatives.
Uh,
I was
listen.
taking notes, like my notebook, just, listening to all of the
Yeah.
directors and the co-directors, and listening to Zarina, our fashion designer, and
Yeah.
Neil,
Oh,
who was part of the,
the
led the
fashions.
team of amazing, amazing hairstylists. Everybody played such an important part in telling the story. I saw it probably 6 to 10 times before, because when you work on a team, you sort of see it in phases, right?
Yeah.
But then when it came out, I still stayed up. I
Listen.
still stayed up at
We
3
all did. We all did. We
a.m.
all,
I've watched
Yvette,
it.
it's on replay. And
Listen, I've
every
watched it on
time,
my phone. I've watched it on my iPad. I've watched it on my computer. I've watched it in my theater with my family.
listen,
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yvette, because every time you watch, a different part of like almost your five senses are enlightened in that moment. Like,
I believe
first
you.
watch, I'm watching for all the fashion and the imagery, and then you watch again for the music, and then you watch again for the story, and then you watch again. And for me, where I just started to weep was when you heard the queen. She said, Black has always been royal. Or she said, everybody is somebody, even a nobody. Or just salutations to the ancestors. It was this beautiful part of the writing that snatched you up. Like you
Yes,
were like, hold on. Sensory
yes.
overload here. I'm getting images, I'm getting sound, I'm getting visuals. You could feel it. And I mean, that was like, look, Black is
So
king. Black has always been
this
king.
is this is what I
But
want to
man,
say.
I'm so proud of Disney for seeing that.
Yes. This is what I want to say about the beautiful words that enveloped the scenery, the fashion, the hair, all of that.
Yeah.
I truly believe that those who wrote those words, including credit to Mrs. Carter, uh, you know, Andrew Morrow and Clover Hope and Yersa Daly Ward and the magnificent, brilliant Wasansha. I believe
Mm.
they tapped into their ancestors. I know they get credit
They
for
had
those
to.
words. They get credit for those words. You look on the screen and you see it, writers, right? But those words came
Yeah. The
through
credits
them.
alone, Yvette.
It came through
Who was in
them.
charge of the credit list?
Okay. That was
Yeah.
a big job. That was a big job. So,
That was the
I was
listen,
explaining
I
to
was
my
looking at the credits
grandchild.
like,
I was telling my grandchild uh, that every name on that scroll represents a person, a human being, a person that came from a person that came from a person. And every single
yeah.
one of those people brought everything to this film. Incredible, incredible. I have to give a amazing shout out to this beautiful, beautiful young man named Kwesi Fort Jor. Kwesi was the co-director of Black is King, and uh, Kwesi came to Parkwood Entertainment, I want to say as a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old. And Kwesi
Yeah.
has spent a
Wow.
decade there from intern to co-director. I swear to you, I'm proud of everybody on this film, but when I saw Kwesi's name, like co-director, I kind of lost,
Uh,
because
yeah.
for every young person that's out there that has that dream, uh, and sometimes the dream is to pick up the microphone.
Yeah.
Uh, Kwesi proves to so many creative young people that there are these amazing jobs right beyond the microphone, right
Yeah.
beyond the microphone. These innovative, visionary jobs that are so critical to the art of storytelling. Um, it's been amazing to watch him talk to the
Yeah.
press and talk about the vision, and it's the right time. It's the right time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think that that connects to this idea of like mentoring, right, Yvette? And so that's how we connected. You know, from the young girls that Miss Tina and myself, we mentor Tina's Angels and Richard Warriors. And it's this idea of giving them a glimpse and exposure to dream, right? And so
Yes.
that one day you can go and be an intern in Parkwood and put the work in and then see yourself full circle moment.
Full.
It's that mentoring piece of like building up to people. And so people who are on this call, Yvette, what would you say about, you know, adults or people in careers finding a mentor? How does that, how someone said here in the comments, mentoring is key, but how do people go about that?
You went out a little bit, but I think you're asking me what to say to them about mentoring, how they go about getting a mentor.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
I think it's about being very bold. You know, I'm going to sound so old, right? But years ago, years ago, when there were phone books, I was the girl that went through the phone book and looked up a company that I was interested in and called every person listed in that phone book until somebody picked
Yes,
up the phone. These days, it's even easier. You can find
yes,
people on social media. You can
yeah,
find them on Facebook. You can find them on LinkedIn. I think obviously, a lot of colleges have programs for internships, and sometimes when you land a good internship, you end up
yeah,
getting a forever mentor with that. But I receive a full amount of beautiful letters that say to me, "You're my mentor. You're my mentor in my head." And I said, and it said,
mm-hmm.
"You will never respond to this. I know you'll never respond to that. You're busy. You this, you that." And I just sit there and I respond to it. I think
Yep,
young people have to believe. Maybe not everybody will, but the right mentor will. Keep asking, keep reaching
yeah,
out. The right people will. And I'm telling you, those executives who don't put mentorship at the top of their list, they are undeserving of the positions they've been given. Because when you climb, you have to lift someone up. You have to.
absolutely.
You know, I've never done a live where I didn't steal these words from my friend Ernest Dukes. When you climb the ladder and you get to the top, the ladder no longer serves you. You have to throw the ladder back
Yep,
down for someone else to climb.
there it is.
So if
There it is.
mentorship is not a part of your journey as an executive, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame
Yeah,
on you, because you have to be able to look back and see yourself, that 16-year-old dreamer, that 18-year-old dreamer, that 21-year-old dreamer, and think about those young people that just want someone to say, "Let me see your resume. I may not have a job for you, but no,
yeah,
no, 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 you didn't write that properly. If I could at least put a red pen through it and tell you
yeah.
to shape it a little differently, I would do that."
And it's necessary, Yvette. It's necessary, especially with young people. I feel like, you know, there's been this talks that, you know, that these few generations have been lost and there hasn't been enough mentoring and molding and shaping up new leadership and our kids, they are always have been great. They just needed someone to look them in the eyes and say, you are great. and say that you
Yes,
can do it. And you could just see their whole vision changes because someone believed in them. And we
absolutely.
have to continue to believe in our little ones because they grow up to be adults who then grow up to change society
Yep.
and be good citizens. And that's why, education has always just been so a part of my life. It was my way out, Yvette. If I
Mm,
didn't have reading, if I didn't have that library to go to in my neighborhood, if I didn't have my grandmother who said, like, you are smart, baby, then I wouldn't be able to even be on this live with you. So it's
mm,
those little words that have been put into us, and that it's our job to put into other people and show them the
exactly.
way.
Well, here's what I'm going to say.
Come
Society
on.
has told us as Black people for a long time that we have problems, that this, we have that. The greatest thing that has happened to society, the greatest thing that has happened to the world, is Black women. For those of us who came through a Black woman, you have to see it as your greatest gift. Because Black women are
Mm.
capable of loving their own and loving everybody else's own. From day one,
Ah,
Black women have nursed their own and nursed other people's.
there it is, Yvette.
So
There it is.
we have to debunk, rebuke, and kick out all of those things that threaten our power. We have to know what we're capable of. I always tease myself in the morning that I know I've got about 25 chambers in this heart, because for those of us who are mothers of more than one babies, you don't even think you're capable. You're like, how could I love another child? And then you do. And then in my case, a third
Yeah.
one, and then you do. And then
Yeah.
there are skeptics on Instagram that would DM me and say, how are you able to love so many people? Because I was loved. Black
Mm.
women, in spite of everything society throws at us, are capable of so much love and so
Mm.
much empathy, so much care. That is our superpower. That is
Super.
our superpower. And if we say those incredible things to our children, empower them, none of those negative things on the inside will penetrate. I'm not being stupid here. I know there's some bad things on the outside there. But when you're armed with knowing who you are, where you came from, and that you're loved, that is the weapon that you need. That is the
Yeah.
weapon that you need. So by the time my child to you, it actually makes your job a little easier, right? A child that comes in and say, I know that I belong in this society. So teachers and parents have to work together to save our children. I think so many,
Yeah.
we're so, as Black and brown people, we are so much in survival mode. We're so about
Yes. Yes.
surviving that we aren't given an hour in 24 hours to just be about chilling
Right.
and
Right.
loving. And because
Yeah.
you just don't know where the next weapon is coming
Yeah.
from.
But let's talk about that for a second, Yvette, because we do have this idea that we know we're magic. We know we're magic. We see women all over the world who are defeating the odds, working like no other, creative, brilliant, mothering children, pouring into the world. And oftentimes you hear women say, I don't have anything left for myself.
Hmm.
I've given out all of me to everyone and I don't have anything left for me and I'm broken. Or, I'm lacking in my self-care. But how do you balance loving everyone, doing it all, mothering, running the world, and still finding time to pour into your cup?
I put my mask on first. Simple as that. Just like on the airplane. I put my
Everybody hear
mask on
that?
first.
You hear it from Yvette?
It's simple. You know, you could afford to love, but you got to love you first. And let me tell you something. This didn't this wasn't automatic for me. This took years. I'm in my
Right.
50s. It took me years to feel that I can put myself first, and that's not a
Yeah.
selfish thing. And because I wake up in the morning and say, I'm good, then I could love up on everybody else. But there are moments in the day that I stop everything. I stop everything. 2 phones. I put them down. I walk away from the computer and I go sit in the middle of my
Yeah.
lawn. I just go sit in the middle of my lawn and I just ask the Almighty, ask the ancestors to give me a moment of stillness. You have to put yourself first. You know it's true on the plane, right? They tell you, put your mask on
Yeah.
first and then help the other person. We should think about that every
Yep.
single day. And joy for all of us is defined differently. For me, it's dancing in my closet. For me, it's like a
Yeah.
biting into like the juiciest mango. Like it's whatever is my thing that no one can take
Mangoes.
away from me. It's like take the
Yeah.
time for you and start small. If you're that one of those people that's just a giver, start small. Say, I need
Yeah.
30 minutes a day for me. I wake up in the morning and I say, I am no one's publicist. I am no one's
Mm.
wife. I am no one's
Mm.
mother. I am no one's grandmother. I'm no one's friend. I'm out here by myself and I need to center. I need to make sure that
Thank
my
you for that.
one foot could get off the bed and I'm not rocky. Then I put the other
Mm.
foot down and I'm solid. I'm solid. I have a Bible next to my bed. I just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's the reading of the day. I'm
Yeah.
never, it's whatever it is. I have beautiful poems by Rumi, whatever it is that
Yeah.
Banton or somebody from the Caribbean usually. Some
Yeah. We need that,
calypso,
Yvette.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. And then I could be like, good morning to my husband. I can love on my children. But if you don't take the time for self, you will always be in a deficit. You'll always be in a
Yeah.
deficit. And you have to
I love
surround
that.
yourself with people that's going to always be in the plus column. So if someone is putting you down, constantly putting you down, what is your obligation
Yeah.
to that person, whether you're married to them or not? Like what is
Right.
that doing for you to be in a
Yeah.
relationship, whether it's business or personal, with someone who is constantly putting the minus sign in front of you? The minus
Mm.
sign. If you're not
That's
putting the
it.
plus
That
column,
minus
I don't.
sign.
That minus sign, and you don't see
Oh.
it. They be just putting it in there and you
Yeah.
just like, oh, but they love me. No, they don't. No. No.
No.
Love you
There
first.
it
Love
is.
you first.
Oh,
It's
that's
true.
so good, Yvette. That's so good. Yvette, can women have it all? Can you have it all? Can women have it all? Can we have successful, amazing careers? Can we have children who are kind and well, husbands who love us, money in our accounts, joy in our hearts? Can we have it all?
I think you have to define, each person has to define for themselves what all is. For me, all is not a bottomless bucket, so that every time
Mm.
there is one achievement completed, I need one more. When I was working at Sony Music, I'll tell you this. I put 3 things down on a piece of paper, and that piece of paper, a little sticky note, one of these little sticky
Yeah.
notes, um, it was everywhere. It was on my refrigerator. It was at my office. It was in my
Yeah.
closet. It was under the bed. It was everywhere. And it said, "Why are you working? What's driving you? What are your goals for this period of your life?" And I said, I wrote, "I don't want to go to Brooklyn every weekend and borrow my uncle's car. It's ridiculous. I'm an adult now. Get yourself a car.
Right.
To me,
Yep.
it wasn't, I didn't say a Mercedes. I didn't say a Ford. I just wanted a car. I just wanted four wheels and a steering wheel so I
Yeah.
could have the power to go and come as I wanted to. And then I said,
Yeah.
it absolutely makes no sense. I grew up in a society where people own, so I need to own my home. And then I have to save enough money to send 3 children to college if they want to. I was pushing them to, but I figure let them decide. So at that point, to
Yeah.
me, that was having it all, because once I got,
Yeah.
that was it, right?
Yeah.
I think when you say you want it all, you're setting yourself up for something that you may not be ready for. What is having it all?
Mm.
What is having it all? Sometimes having it all for some people is to buy a house next to another house that they've admired forever, and they want to be in a neighborhood where they think they've made it. But that neighborhood
Yeah.
gives you no friends, no friends. You have nobody. You don't have a community. You've lost that. So, did you have it all because you gave up certain things? For me, my all is having a career I love,
Yeah.
having a husband that I absolutely am crazy for after 40 years.
Yes. Your love is beautiful.
He's lovely. He's like, I don't know where he came from. God created that man for me, and I'm grateful. And we have
Yeah.
children, and they're grown adults now. But maybe that's all. But when people see you, when they see what you put out to the world, but for me, it's kindness and love and hard work and caring for others.
Yeah.
But they only see, they don't see what you've been through. I don't look,
There it is.
I don't look like what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want it
Yeah.
all, or you want the all that someone else has, you might need to walk through some of the hot coals they've walked on. So I think we have to define
Mm.
all for
Hot coals.
ourselves and say, this
Yeah.
is my all. For some women,
Yeah.
it's designer clothes. For me, it's high low. Man, I miss coming to Crossroads Trading Store on Santa Monica Boulevard and getting my $20
Yeah.
dresses and making them look like
Right.
1,000. I just,
Yeah. That's
the
it.
most precious thing for me in my life, and it's always been that way, is my health. Surround myself with
Yeah.
love, both physical love, like the kind I have with my husband, and this like incredible love that I have for my family and my friends and the artists that I'm
Yeah.
so privileged to represent. Um, you know,
Yeah.
so I think we have to define what all is for ourselves, and
Yeah.
all should not come with a jealous bone, and all should not
Yeah.
come with a keeping up with the Joneses. All should not be
Yeah.
based on who has or seemingly like they have on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Absolutely, Yvette. And that's one thing I loved about having these intimate conversations, because we were able to see here, Yvette, that you don't look like our journey. We don't all show up and put all of our traumas on our shirts. We don't all on our backs say, this came through, I came over this. We just show up and we
We
just try
just
to be
show
our
up.
best. And
Yeah.
I love it because I felt like I just have this strong feeling, if you put women in the room or if you put men in the room, and if they started to tell their story, other people in there would just have tears dropping, or other people would walk over and say, I got you, sister. I got you, brother, because we all are going through something. And I wish that we would just wake up and treat everyone in the grocery store like, you're probably going through something. Your mother's probably at home sick. You're probably nursing an ill child. you probably are just not feeling good enough today. Like, I wish we just had that in the back of our minds, because we would just love everyone so differently.
That's
You
right.
know?
When I was growing up in Grenada, one of the things I learned, and I still try to do it, although sometimes American society makes you look crazy when you do it. People in Grenada say good morning, good morning, good morning. Like you going down the street, 80 people, you get good morning 80 times. Or how you do? How you do, girl? You're like,
I love that.
and they listen for the answer. They listen for the answer.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're not feeling well? If someone just took the time to say, how are you?
The
How are
time.
you? It makes such a difference in people's lives. People think it's boring and it's kumbaya. It's not. It's literally medicine for
It's
someone to
meaningful.
notice you and care for you.
It's we need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's needed. Answer this question. Finish this sentence, Yvette. The last time I cried was.
Oh, this is so okay. This was not supposed to be about work, but it is about work. So
Tell us.
I have been preaching to anyone with ears that could hear me about this incredible young man from New Zealand. His name is Teeks. His full name is, I
Yes.
say it wrong all the time, Te Karehana Gadina Toi. And his nickname is Teeks, and his recording name is Teeks.
Wow.
And I met him in 2017, and I've been sort of quietly working behind the scenes with him.
Yes.
And there were plans for his music to come out, and then the pandemic, and his first single just came out last Friday. And I've heard the song.
Incredible.
But I've heard the song 900 times. But when I actually went to Spotify, I know it's okay. The song is great. His voice is amazing. But I know why I cried.
Yeah.
I cried because I know that young man's voice comes from God. And I know that he was blessed with that voice. And God chose that beautiful, mighty, indigenous young man to say, I am going to bless you with this voice, and you better be good and listen and take that voice to do good. And it just, his family, to his country.
Yeah.
I mean, New Zealand has been leading us. I mean, come on, they've been, they've had a little bit of a backdrop now, but they've been just leading the world. But I cried. I cried, and I didn't even expect to cry that way. And obviously, when Black is King, when I literally was on the phone with my and then I went to Disney Plus and started. It was actually playing on Disney Plus, like it was really playing on Disney Plus. I was just like, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, just to see things come to fruition, to me means that you're witnessing someone's dream, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful.
To witness people's dreams. What a gift. What a gift. Yvette, what would you go back and tell your 7th grade self? I think you were at an all-girls school in Grenada. What would you tell your 7th grade self?
Whew. Wow. I would say to all of the things that you get in trouble for, hold on to them. They're going to serve you right. And the people who are condemning you for it, they don't know. Forgive them. I would say to Yvette Noel, this little pudgy nose of yours is actually a good nose. Don't believe the people who say that you're ugly. these high cheekbones, they're not yours. They come to you from your ancestors. Everything you have, this face was made before you got here. And this talkative way that you have, this curiosity for words, you will find yourself in those books. They're hiding it in books that they don't want us to see. Be curious, Yvette.
Oh, Yvette.
Be curious. And little Yvette, you know how excited you get? Stay excited. That instrument will take you to a place, to a continent called Africa. You will find yourself. You will land in a place called Johannesburg, and people will tell you, welcome home. You will go to places. You will go to New Zealand. You would see indigenous people, and they will tell you that they love the way you talk. And for those people, Yvette, when you were 14, when you came to America and they made fun of your accent, forgive them. Forgive them, because now they know that there is diversity in Blackness. Diversity in Blackness. We all don't speak the same language, and we have to hold on to our accent and our languages, because that's what they try to strip us. They try to strip it from us. So that is what I would tell her. And I saw it magnified in my mother, who never lost her accent. And I was so happy that she spent so many years in America and she sounded like the diaspora. She sounded like she was reaching back to Africa. Hold on, Yvette. Hold on. Everything. One day you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be like, this nose comes from kings and queens.
Yvette, I can't. Everybody in the live is in tears. I literally have chills, Yvette. I love you so much. I adore you. There's this deep-rooted connection that I have to you that I'm so blessed and grateful. And I wish that my dream is that every little girl, they don't have to wait until the time is now, the lie, to know and go back and tell their 7th grade selves, but they can feel the power in who they are from kinder to 7 to 12 to college, and know that they're good enough.
That's right.
They know that they're good enough just the way they are. And if the world would have known, if that little Yvette would have known that you were going to change the world, Yvette, you have changed the world. You change lives. You inspire us all. And I'm just so grateful for you. I mean,
I'm
God,
grateful for you.
Meeting you.
Meeting you has been a blessing to me. When I first saw you, I said, God, look at power. Look at a young lady who knows exactly who she is. She knows what she wants to say. You pour into your child exactly what I was talking about. You pour so much into your child. You pour into those young women and those young men every single day. People don't get it. People don't understand that just a few miles from the Hollywood sign, on that hill with all that glitter, there are neighborhoods of Black and brown children who are not given space to stand up and be counted. And you and Miss Tina and Mr. Richard said, not on my lifetime. We've got to do this. And you do that. And you know, I saw the beauty, and I saw all of that. I saw your gorgeousness, but I saw your heart. I saw your heart, and you're the perfect person to work alongside the Lawsons. I mean, you know, we could have 5 more lives for me talking about my love for the Lawsons, the Knowles family, just everything they've done so many years, so quietly, not getting any credit for it, not making a fuss
Yeah.
about it. And frankly, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. You know, another part of my job is always to police the bad things that are being said. Like, how do you look
Yeah.
at goodness and see something bad? How?
Ugh.
How do you look at roses and you only see
Yeah.
the thorn? Really? The
Mm.
thorn wasn't even there, and you're trying to find the
Yeah.
thorn? You know, so I'm just grateful for
Listen.
you. Your daughter is so blessed
Yes.
that she came through you. Your sister is so
Ugh.
blessed to breathe the same air as you, to occupy the space.
Yvette.
And
Yvette.
let me tell
Yvette.
you something, girl. I got, because I knew you were coming in fierce, you know. So my girl, Pat McGrath, not just any Pat, but Pat McGrath. This is
Thank you.
all Pat.
Yes. I love it. We've got 1 minute left,
The
Yvette.
show.
Thank you so much. The biggest thing and the
You.
biggest takeaway is that the change is coming. The time is now. Love on others, love on yourself, and reach down. Once you get that ladder, you reach down and you get someone else and you pull them up. Thank you for influencing the culture, Yvette. And thank you. And we're going to all vote for this Harris Biden in November. We didn't get there today,
That's
but I
it.
love you guys. Thank you for being with us. Yvette, I love you. I'm getting ready to call you right now. Thank y'all. Beautiful day. I have chills. I'm forever changed by you, Yvette, and we are going to change the world. We're going to make a difference all the way from Johannesburg to Compton to Figueroa and to Grenada. Love you guys.
That's right. Love you. Mwah, 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 mwah.
I love you.